because I get excited about it because I think it's fun. I like nature and climbing and stuff and stuff like that. And that's the same entrance that we just looked at. Whoa. That one is the same as this. Of course, obviously a different season. And that's Angela, who's not here today. It's really fun to go looking for caves in the winter or go visiting caves in the winter. It's the visual aspect is wonderful, and it's really fun. And then this is the third entrance, which would be the other side of the arch. And again, there's John. And I'm standing on the ridge in between the two. This is where John was at there. He's standing. That's one time he was there. I took his picture. Another time there, taken from the inside, is this when there was much more snow. Just for comparison and kind of neat and stuff. And that's the day when there was so much more snow. Somebody has a rope there, and so he used the rope or acted like he was using the rope to climb out. There's some graffiti in this cave, and that happens. If graffiti is over 50 years old, it's historic. So when you do graffiti removal in caves, if it's over 50 years old, you don't remove that graffiti. That's not over 50 years old, but I don't do graffiti, but graffiti is, I think, somewhat part of human nature. Anyway, so there's speleothems in caves. Those are formations. Probably everybody's heard of cave formations. That's an example of cave formations here in Ohio, in this cave I've been talking about for the first few minutes up there by Greenfield. There's two. Yeah. What kind? There's like, I'm not. That's why I was. No, there's like 7 bats that are pretty much commonly native. Not commonly native. There's an endangered one, the red, the Indiana bat, which is endangered, but it does live in Highland County and probably Adams County too. And it lives in Brown County, and it's even endangered in Indiana. I could imagine it being endangered in Ohio, but never mind. So those are either little brown bats, which I'm pretty sure they are, or big brown bats, which I don't think they are, or pipistrelles, which they're not, because pipistrelles actually have another name called a tricolor, where they're pink and like brown and tan and 3 different colors. But anyway, so you kind of see cool stuff in caves. You don't want to disturb the bats in the winter, that's for sure. That's Angela going into a hole, like a side lead, I guess you'd say, in that cave, because she has to poke in every hole. And it didn't go nowhere. I mean, it doesn't. Everybody and their brother almost goes this. They have been. A lot of people go here. But this, like I said, it's my first time with the microphone, guys. Anyway, poke around in there, and it's there at the state-listed place. Site arch, and they encourage you to visit it, the arch. Crawling. This is a cool spot in the cave. It's a passage like this, and there's this big stone in the middle, so you can go under it. If you wanted, you could go climbing over it, or do something fun like have your children sit on it and take their picture on it as a memento of that space and time. That's me outside the cave. I couldn't resist it, because look, it's a circle. And then, it's not the entrance for nothing. This is a friend of ours, Katie. She's poking in holes. This is kind of what's like with looking for caves. So you kind of get an idea how much fun it is, but also that most of what you find is not like places you walk into. If you didn't have a conception of what Ohio caves might be, what kind of places like caves are in Ohio. Somebody went in that hole. I think it's me. If you don't go in, you can't see what's around the corner if there's a corner. And this is a cave, my friend, John, who I probably scared away, or he had to go sell stuff. Anyway, John took me to this one, and he's going through this hole in it. It's not that bad. That's not that bad. And there he is going up the other side. It's a whole like you gotta like do like that and come up like that. It's not that bad. I took my coat off the first time and started sweating, but it's not that bad. There's me coming through. This is like different time than the first time. It's um, in this cave. This is an 80-foot long cave. We drug a tape in it, and it's not been officially surveyed, but we drug a tape in and measured it in 88 feet. But anyway, in the room before the end of the cave, you see these. This is the wall, and it's a big enough room. It's a big enough room you could pretty much stand up in. But you see all these shapes. What I'm pretty sure those are, to my understanding, is it's something that was in the rock, and when the rock was dissolved, it was still there. And those specifically being snail shells. I could definitely have misunderstood what the person was telling me, but I think I've seen those in other states as well, and I'm pretty sure that's what they are. Do you guys see what else is in this photo? There's 3 of them. There's one there, one there, and one there. Yeah, like they are big old daddy long spiders. So yeah, if you're gonna go in, you're gonna get along with spiders. And there's John on going to the end of it, kind of looking to see how far you can go and all that. And you see the stream running in it. Streams are a common thing in karst topography. The water is part of the creation of the water creates the holes and the passages and the cracks and so many things as it erodes in the karst topography. So John went all the way to the back, and that's where it stopped because he couldn't go no further. But using the tape back above ground, we took the tape measure and went across the top, and that's about 20 feet from the other rock on the other side where there's a little hole coming out. So it probably goes through. I mean, it definitely goes through in terms of going. Okay. And these are all these caves are close together, as often karst systems are. It's connected. Often, not always. All these ones so far are really close together. This one is a friend of mine, ours, and to get into this cave, you went down head first, and then head first, laying down like her, and then kind of like curled up in, and you could stand up and stuff. So she braved it and did it. And then this is another friend of ours, a smaller person, who was going on where nobody else would go. And so we took the tape back 30 feet, and this one, there's her taking the tape. And this is her progressing through this spot, which we dug out a little bit. And there she's through it, and got the tape, and there's her hand. And inside there, other people had been there, with drinking Bud Lights. And there's a window. It's called a window, whether it's in a rock face or wherever, and you can see through it. It's a window. There's a window inside that cave, which is a neat feature to have a geologic feature like a window inside a cave. They're really common in caves, but not so much above ground. And this one's a chest compressor, still in the same. Okay, still in the same area. And this is Angie going into the chest compressor. The first time we found it, she couldn't get in. It's like a big rock with this little hole. We had to move all these rocks, and she couldn't get in. Well, Mom was wrong. Maybe she did. She did get in. And I couldn't get in it. But our friend, that's her coming out. No, that was, I'm sorry, guys. That was our friend, because Angie couldn't get in it. That was our friend went in it, really without too much trouble after we moved the rocks. And then, she got in it. And then this is Angie coming out another day. Me and her went back another day, and she came out. And you could tell, caving's not for everybody. I think it's just okay. She actually likes it. Trap cave. So this is so those caves, like I said, up kind of north by Greenfield. This one's probably pretty much that direction. On the other side of Peebles. I call it trap cave because there's a trap, like a leg hold trap. It's been tripped. And I crawled back there and got it, brought it out, and there it is. It's about 20-something feet long, and you kind of seen how the tube was. In cave terms, that's called a tube, and a solution dissolved that limestone in that tube to create that tube, for the most part. So these caves, the breakfast caves, have been published caves, and they were published by Wittenberg University in the 70s. And so, see, everybody's got helmets on now. I got mine off, and he's got his off. But everybody else pretty much has their helmets on. Angie's got hers on. This is organized caving. This is where you wear helmets, and you're organized. And then you accumulate gear. And when you have gear, you can go more places because you can crawl easy. You can just it assists you with going into caves without as much trouble. These are folks from the Cleveland Grotto of Ohio, and 3 of us locals down here, and they came down for the weekend to go caving in southern Ohio, because people's like, caving in southern Ohio, what? And I mean, they're little caves, but they are the southern Ohio caves, and there's something to be appreciated in that of itself, and they're really cool too. There's a number of endemic species, per cave, meaning of endemic and all that, here as well, which are, they only live in one cave in the whole world. So anyway, so the Cleveland Grotto came down to what's called the breakfast caves, because it's because it's associated with the road that says bacon, and there they are, getting ready to go have some fun. There's Angie doing the cat pose, coming through it. That's a through tube. She came in from the other side, and it's now coming out this side of the tube, so it's a through tube. Not really a tube. But then, okay, there's another location in Adams County. Over that way, maybe 8 miles. As you could say, it says enter at your own risk. So the owners are, it's all good, but, when you're on somebody else's property, you got to take care of yourself. And, and you certainly got to be careful when you're on snow and underground and stuff like that. It's definitely not on the landowner. So there's people going down the hill and throwing their coat up there and going in this cave. This cave's an 800-foot cave. Walked right in. Nice. That, I like walking caves. Walking caves, that's my kind of deal. So we're walking, and 800 feet seems like a lot, and it is for an Ohio cave, but 800 feet, and if you're walking, it's not that far. Well, we weren't 800 feet yet. We got to the second corner, and it got to be a backup, and that means there's a problem, or a challenge, however you want to put it, a clog, I don't know the word. But so anyway, so that person's standing there, and so I'm just standing back there, just waiting, thinking, oh, there's something up there. So what was up there was a crevice, which is like a vertical thing that you could, and then at the top of the crevice was a tube, so you would be like a spider and put your feet on each side of the crevice and crawl, but you're crawling horizontal, not vertical. And so, you're not going to die if you fell in there. It wasn't that deep, like maybe 6 feet, but you getting wedged and, and this and that and stuff like that. So anyway, everybody did that part, I think, except for 2 people. And I don't got any pictures of that because I was spidering across it and couldn't take pictures, and I just didn't take pictures of that. And now this is a different spot. It got all muddy and stuff. And it got to be water that was like mud water is like that deep. And this guy is the former vice president of the National Speleological Association. He's caved on 6 continents. And he was down here in Adams County caving, and he's been here more than once, from Cleveland. And that was a tight spot. To get through that, gear's nice, but you had to like move your body so it would fit, and like kind of like go Superman on your side, because if your shoulders are straight, they're wider than if you're like this. Guy's 70 years old, y'all, right there, and he does it. He's a fortunate person, for sure. This is the Amish cave because it's on Amish property. That's me and Angie and Stephanie. She's a smaller person that fit in the other smaller person holes. And you can kind of see the hole right there. So I ask random people, or people who I think might have a cave or know of a cave and this and that, and I talk to a lot of plain people or Amish people, and so I just ask them. And one said, yeah. I said, really? And so I said, well, I'll get over there sometime and check it out. And so I went over finally and talked to him, and so there we are, getting ready to check it out. And the boys had already been in it. One of the boys had been in it as far to stuff we'll see in here. That's Stephanie going in, and this is January, so it's like really cold. It's not frozen, but it's really cold. So we don't want to get wet because, again, the stream, erosion, solution type erosion that causes the holes in karst topography. So she's in the hole. This is where she's at. It's probably only 15 feet in. She's like, she's like 5 feet. Anyway. But she came back out and I went in, and this is as far as I went as well. And so I took this picture of this, which is called a rimstone dam. And again, it's a speleothem, which is a cave formation. And that's its name. That's not a very good picture of it, but there'll be some more. And I hope I'm doing good on time. So this'll, that's a rimstone dam. It's where the formation deposits itself and backs up, makes a dam. And there's all kinds of shapes and sizes and dams. The differences are infinite. And backs it up, makes a dam. And that creates habitat, too, when the water stops and stuff. Which we'll get to what's living, not in this one, but in some other ones. That was the Amish cave. And we haven't been back. We wanted to go back when it was warm, because it was cold, and we had other places to go that day. So here's Angela and Katie. Katie brought a shovel. She's from Columbus. Is anybody here from Columbus? Yeah! Oh, yeah, I can count on Columbus. That's the second time. We'll have to think of another place. Okay. So there's Katie and Angela. And this little hole we found on this property that's that way, like 5 miles, maybe 6. And because sometimes you got to look for them, you really do. So that's why she had the shovel, and it's nice to have a shovel. We broke the shovel. But anyway, here's her in a little hole. Well, it was actually a big hole, a sinkhole that the bottom had filled in that area, and she almost didn't get out. Not that it was scary or nothing, but it surprised her because she didn't get out on her first time, and I think it was a lot for her. But it's all good. She's been back and been caving again and all that, and everybody's friends, and it wasn't that bad. It was just the first time, and she got kind of scared. And there's Angie. See, I told you. Caving's just okay. People that like to cave, you see those eyes? They're like, cave. That's what they're like. So this is her standing. See this tree root? Standing right in that hole, which didn't go nowhere. It was just a vertical crevice or a crack in the rock that, probably developed over stress and stuff. Another reason not to get stressed. That's good. And they probably developed over stress and stuff. Stress in the earth, of course. And then was enlarged through solution and erosion from the acidic rainwaters. And so what's it like if you go into something like that? Well, we had this ladder. That's a tree stand ladder that you can carry in 3 pieces, so it's lighter. You can also carry a ladder like to climb on, like the rolling kind. They're only like this wide, and they're kind of hard. Then there's extendable ladders that are like heavy duty and stuff, but they're extendable. So anyway, you can see her down. Angela's down in here in this hole, and she's down in there taking a picture that way. It was pretty tight down there. I didn't go down in there. That's what it looked like in one direction, and you can really see that the concept of a vertical crack, a natural fault place for that rock to break, crack, and then how the water did it. Another common feature of karst topography. And guess what? That's the picture the other direction. Camera's a little crooked, but kind of the same deal. And it's got leaf litter and stuff on the floor because that stuff is everywhere. Where we see in all them dots at the beginning of this. Those places are everywhere in those places. You just don't always see them. They're just down in there and stuff, and there's not access to them. This is a cave. That's a killer picture, I think. But anyway, it just worked out that way. That way, on the other side of 32. This cave's actually been published. It's called Tolly Cave. It's in the caves of Adams County, which I didn't bring with me today, but that book was put out 2 years ago. It was made by a local resident, Jonah Kidder, who as a teenager explored the caves with his brothers, and as a child did it with his dad. And there's a lot of these caves, they're just not mapped and they're not known of and stuff like that. And so anyway, he named that cave. And funny thing is when we found it, this cave's really small. It's only like 15 feet long, but somebody had went in here and dug this out. That's why that's like that. Like people who are crazy about caving, like the crazy-eyed person, they would go. I mean, she didn't, but you take like something you can drag, like a sled, and pull it in there, and somebody's in there, and they dig and fill the sled up with it, and then the person on the outside or farther out pulls it back out with the rope. So between the 2 times we've been there, the second time is when the picture was taken. This went from being like this all the way up to they dug out a passage, and then stopped. That doesn't, that just means the passage stops for now. It does still go as far as but it's got that dirt again. So, you have to dig it out if you want to go. And I'm not going to dig out dirt in a cave. It's just not going to happen. That's why I say some people, they're really, really into it. This is above the cave. It was a brand new sinkhole that had opened in the year in the year we'd been gone a year, and that sinkhole had opened in that time above the cave, undoubtedly draining into that cave as an outlet. So this picture, it's maybe hard to get perspective. I don't know. I'm way up here on a ledge. I'm over here on top of a gorge, and that's the top of a gorge on the other side. That's maybe 75 feet. I don't know, about that tall. You can see it from the trees and stuff. It's really tall. And so there's a nice arch right there, and this is a state listed arch. It's on the state list. It tells you where it's at and everything. Well, it tells you approximately where it's at. I don't know if you're supposed to go there, maybe not. And this is a big cave. That's what that is. Look at that big old mouth. I mean, most people think about cave, they're like, that's a cave. That's the kind of cave I want to go into. I can walk into. That's what I think about. Walk into it. But actually, it's just a rock shelter. It doesn't go. It's kind of like the Hocking Hills features, most of which are more of a rock shelter without the darkness, as well as it's a different. Hocking Hills ones are a different type of formation, bedrock. It's not in karst, it's in sandstone. So anyway, here's John squatting in the entrance to that big cave that we just looked at, right there. It's a pretty nice one, and then in the back of it's got like what I call a vestibule where you can climb up like 3 or 4 feet, and you get in like this 8x8 little nether rock shelter. I think that's a coyote. It came from, we drug it out. It was in there, and we drug it out and made the picture. Now those aren't spiders. Well, there is a spider. These are crickets. And there's a different kind of cricket that lives in a cave. It's a lot like it's not a black cricket, but it's a lot like the cricket you see above ground. And some of these, they get huge in caves. It's really gross, and they actually turn white. It's probably not in Ohio though. This is a solution pocket. Its name is Gumdrop Cave. It's not a cave really because that's the back of it, but it's been documented. This feature, we tried to go in here a few times. But this is like 50 feet tall, and I just can't get around that corner to get in that hole and see yet. There's me coming in another hole. This has been a while back, and I came in from over here, and I'm coming this way to my favorite spot. Yeah, my favorite spot. You end up here looking out, and you're like in a balcony, like 50 feet above the water. It's a really cool spot and a way to get there. So that's that spot. You come into it from behind it, and there's the very top of it with John sitting on top. And so how these tubes would be was this tube would have continued back in the prehistoric day forever ago, and this eroded through the middle of it. So over here on the other side of this gorge, there's a good chance there's a cave over here too, because the caves in Ohio are one level. They don't have multi-levels and big variations in height. They're all one horizontal thing for the pretty much most of the caves are. There's the exceptions, of course, in different types of rock. So if you like, that's something to keep in mind when you look at geologic formations in most parts of, in the glaciated, most parts of Ohio, it don't matter about glaciation, into the bedrock, everything's going to be happening at the same height with a slight tip. And here in this part of the county, Adams Highland area, it's called the Adams specific. It's called the Adams County anticline, and the dip of the bedrock here is the steepest in Ohio. Adams County is a really, really unique situation here in terms of, because of the geology. That is the underlying thing, and apparently, in my opinion, it's amazing. So this is near my house. I like to put that up there. It's just, that's the kind of stuff you run into. And obviously I wouldn't go there. Yeah, that's just supposed to be funny and all, but maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff right there, and an old quarry and stuff. But on the property adjacent to this is something really awesome on a place where I had permission. This is a sinkhole. There's a bunch of sinkholes there. Sinkholes aren't always like conical things like a funnel. Although they're always a funnel, they're not always shaped like a funnel. But sinkholes are funnels. And this one's not quite super conically shaped. But what's cool about this one is it's got this arch in the middle of it, which kind of, if you was here at the beginning, you remember me talking about the collapsed cave arch up there by Greenfield. And so that, in my opinion, kind of makes me think this would be just a cave arch. I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, John's standing on top of it. I'm up on close to the edge of the rim of it, I guess. And down in the bottom is Angela. And then John would be right here, and I was over here. So it's a pretty, deep deal. There's a photo from the bottom looking up. It's right by this fellow's house that owns it. He'd lived there his whole life. It's right by the road. But he doesn't let people go, really. I just gave it a shot. And I live down the road, too, but I'd never really talked to him because he doesn't get around much. This is the way it goes one direction. And again, you kind of remember the pictures I showed you before of the vertical fissures, which start with a crack, pretty much, and then enlarge. It's kind of the same deal. So this is over there, over by Fairfax, and the other ones we looked at were over there, over by Harriet, and that area. It's really common here. But you can't, you're not going. Most people aren't going to fit in these, and most people don't want to go in them. I don't. But you see some cool stuff, some more speleothems. That's usually where the calcite that's in so karst topography, which we've been talking about a little bit. I'll talk real quick. I'll mention something else about it. Karst topography is generally limestone rock. It pretty much has to be, and limestone's made up of limestone. Minerals like calcium and stuff that make up limestone. And so water dissolves those, especially acidic water that may be acidic related to what's growing above the ground or not growing. I don't know. But anyway, so the water dissolves the the minerals that are in the limestone, um, and then redeposits them for various reasons and causes. Um, it precipitates them, being the correct term to use, and makes stuff. And there's some really cool stuff. Ohio stuff is it's cool, like the ones that's been in the Ohio caverns. There wasn't really speleothems there so much as it was crystals, like the more geotype um, environment, because it's a little bit different than down here. So this is in a state forest over there, um, maybe 10 miles. Um, that looks cavey. That's not a no trespassing sign. That looks cavey. It does. A lot of people go there. There's a trash can out there and stuff like that. But it's a hike in there for people four-wheel in. It's made, well, when we looked at that, you kind of maybe see some of the holes. I can't see over there real good, but you can see there's all these holes. And they're just tubes, and they all go back and forth and connect in there. It's not mazy at all, because it's not that complex at all. But you're obviously going to get out. You never lose sight of light. But you got to crawl. It's not a walking cave. So now you're on your knees, and that's okay. I got knee pads, but it's not my favorite, like a walking cave. It's a little bit of a challenge. So it's back to speleothems, the things you find in caves. Now these, you find them in Adams County. They're not in this area. They're not super, super nice, but they're nice. These are broken stalactites. The ones in the middle, technically soda straws. Stalactites are the ones that come down, if you've seen them, and then stalagmites are the ones that come up from the bottom. And so to remember which is which, well, you gotta know them, stalagmite and stalactite. But stalactites hang tight to the ceiling, okay? And so this is a picture in a cave across the creek from that last cave. Remember I mentioned rimstone dams before. So these are all, see, it kind of looks like a dam right there and stuff. And so these are like, these ones, they can be over your head, but not in Ohio. These ones are like this tall. They're like this tall. Now, there's something else. There's other things in this picture. We really like this photo. Or maybe the next one will be better. As you see the babies, those are two-lined salamanders. They're not in danger or anything, but they're cool. They're living in a cave, which makes them, I think, a troglobite, which are things that lives in caves or in and out of caves. They're not cave salamanders. They're a two-lined salamander. I mentioned Ohio does have cave salamanders, which are orange with black spots. They're in one county in the state at this time, being Hamilton County. Does anybody in here like salamanders? If not, okay, I'll tell it then. About salamanders is, well, like I said, there's only one spot in the state that cave salamander is. It's really pretty. It's got a long tail. It gets like this big. It's like, salamander. It's really pretty. And so where it lives at, in the one spot, back in the day, people had wells and all that, back in the day, like, 1800 day, late 1700 day, people who had homes had stone homes, had like well properties and stuff like that, and springs on their property. And so usually with enclosures and stuff. And so at some point, the spring on that property was enclosed at some point in the past. And apparently the cave salamanders that lived in that spring survived and are still living viably in that spring and reproducing. Not every year, but they do reproduce, and the numbers are getting larger. And so it's in these people, in the people, and it's all about the people. They're thrilled. They're thrilled to have them cave salamanders there. Those cave salamanders, it seems like they're in great hands. The people are really happy about it. So they're in a spring house, kind of over by Miami Whitewater in Hamilton County, and that's definitely on private property. Not that they don't let people go. I don't know. The state goes. And there's a close-up of the salamander. And that's a picture through one of those tubes at those caves. And there's a little brown bat, I think. They were up. These were up. Remember the first photo? It was like a big overhang all the way around. They were on the outside, and those overhangs tucked up in there. It's kind of fun finding them because when you found them, they were like right here. Well, I don't know if you all can see it. This is a footprint, paw print. Paw, and then the palm right there. And what that is, it looks like a kitty print, and it's a kitty print, but it's not a house kitty print. That's a bobcat print. Because the wildlife in caves, it's a habitat for several creatures, many creatures. And so this is a bobcat track. It's a pretty recent one too, and this was this spring again, maybe 7 or 10 miles that way. See all these things? That's bobcat bone leftovers. And so in terms of going in a cave with like treacherous things, there's usually not snakes. I'm terrified of snakes. There's just not really snakes in there. Thank goodness. I mean there's snakes, but there's snakes here too, right? I know you're not crawling on your belly, but if there were going to be snakes there, they'd be near the entrance. Anyway, so that's the bones. And that's how far in I had to get them pictures and how tight that was. And you know there's not a bobcat in there, and you know there's not a bear in there if it doesn't smell is good enough for me. If you don't smell that overwhelming scent of like the zoo at the cat house, it's okay. And especially if you throw rocks in there and stuff. But yeah, if you don't smell it, you can get close enough to throw rocks in the sea. Okay.
What's your defense?
Oh, I can run faster than the next person. Okay, that's all there. That's that's all of them, guys. Okay. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Or claps is good too.